All right, guys, let's talk about the secrets to Overunity. All right, let's start with the generator. Now, what this is 10 years of my research and findings and experimentation and all that. Okay, the generator must incorporate magnets, neodymium magnets, super magnets, and they need to have a certain arrangement so that they produce a zero cogging effect. Alright, you need to eliminate the load on your generator as much as possible based on its design. Okay. Second thing, so that's your generator. So if you can get your generator to incorporate magnets and be free turning, alright, which that is possible. Now let's look at the motor. Alright, the motor needs to have a larger rotor diameter than that of the rotor of your generator in order to utilize the force of inertia, okay, to your advantage. And you can also implement a flywheel to compensate for that, as long as your motor and generator are the same size in diameter. You can incorporate a flywheel with a larger diameter to compensate, that's going to take more load off at high speeds. Okay, now the reason why the drum motor is the best motor to use to drive your system is because it implements the law of leverage to its advantage to overcome the torque on the shaft. If you notice, if you look at the little graph, the bigger your rotor size is, the amount of leverage or torque to the shaft is applied, and it exponentially increases as your size increases. So you want to take advantage mechanically as much as possible to achieve overunity. So once we have established that, you got to take all things into consideration. Now, you can go on Amazon or anywhere, really, eBay, find these motors all over the place, made by Samsung. That's where you're going to get your 12-inch and your 10-inch drives from. Alright, they're going to have all different size stators and drums. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at what Gerard had set up on one of his last demonstrations. Okay, yeah, he's turning his generator and it's making power. Alright, but it's only making 500 watts of power. It's a 10,000 watt generator and it's only making 500 watts of power. Okay, because he's barely turning it. He barely has enough torque to turn it at that speed with that type of driver that he's using. Okay, and he's only using a 7-inch drum to turn a 6-inch core. The core of that generator is only like it's pretty good size. It's at least a 5-inch, if not a 6-inch rotor, and super heavy, and it does not employ magnets, and so it undergoes an extreme load when turning it at those high speeds. If he was turning a different type of generator head, then he'd be getting a lot more output than just 500 watts. 500 watts ain't shit. He's using 1500 watts to turn it. If you look, he's from his little power supply here. He's got almost 400 volts going in at almost 4 amps. So let's just say 400 volts at 3 amps. That's 1200 watts, and he's only able to use 500 watts. So already his generator is way too inefficient for what he's trying to do, and he knows that. That's the thing, is he knows that. All right, that alternator right there, that alternator will put out 90 amps at 120 volts. All right, that's 10,000 watts. That almost 10,000 watts. That little alternator right there is just as powerful as that big old generator, and yet it doesn't take. The core of that alternator is only about 3 inches in diameter, and he's got a 6-inch motor hooked up to it, and that is a proper setup right there. But that alternator needs to be converted to a permanent magnet alternator. Okay, it does. Here's another good place that you can get these stators and the drums from, is windgenkits.com, and they have these set up for 3-phase, so you can run these as motors instead of generators, because you can get them wired for 3-phase. There's a lot of different wiring ways you can wire this motor. You can wire it for OpenStar or for Delta. This is the factory. This is an OpenStar configuration here, where your XYZ is open and all the points tie together. That's called an OpenStar configuration. And then right here, I believe that is what is that? It's the same thing. It just looks different. Let's see here. I believe this is Delta. I'm not sure. These are all the different ways that you can wire these things. Alright, now there's your Delta right there. Looks complicated, doesn't it? Anyways, this is the setup that I had running. I'm only connecting on 2 of the phases, and the middle phase is my negative. If you look, I'm glowing the bulb. I'm connecting it through the negative to nothing, and it's lighting the bulb. And I'm only using the outer 2 phases, and I'm running it off of an amplifier with an audio signal. I'm going in right over there, and I'm coming out of the speakers, and I'm amplifying, and I'm running it at a slow RPM, at a base RPM. So if you want to run these 3-phase drum motors, you need to go to Texas Instruments, because they have the technology. Okay? Sensorless. They use the motor's own signal. See, look. It's a single chip solution. It reduces noise and on-chip protection features. If the signal can be converted into a solution, it should maintain its shape. The signal that the motor gives is the one they use to run it. Alright. Smarter motor drive design starts now. This has been on the market for a while, guys. This is Gerard's transmitter. Anyways, you can go to Harley Davidson and you can find, I believe, 6-inch, 6 or 7-inch rotors that you can use, that are 3-phase, that you can use for motors. Alright, they got them for just a couple $100. What else? Let's see here. That's pretty much it. Bam. you're going to need a shaft coupler. You're going to want to use something like this. Now be sure you get the correct size on the end there that fits your shaft. Because if your shaft is a different size than this shaft, then you might need to buy 2 of these, and that way you can use the bigger one on one and a smaller one on the other, and you couple them in the middle with that little spider gear or retainer. Those are really good, and they're only 20 bucks. It's a great way to couple your shaft together. So I think that is all I wanted to show for now. I'm about to be doing a video on high voltage. We're going to talk about how you can utilize one of these transformers, 2 of these transformers, to double your output of your generator. So, peace.